Blog Talk Radio.
Here at ACO Radio, American Communications Online, or any affiliated stations or websites are not responsible for what guest hosts or call-ins may say. All programming is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only.
This is TJ Morris, and you're listening to ET Radio. Welcome aboard, all you ground troops spinning around smartly on the planet. We are here with American Communications Online, and we're going to be having one of our old friends from years ago back on tonight. It's been a long time. I didn't have time to research and see how many years it's been, but John David Tenayuca is a friend of mine in the hobby of our TJ Morris ET Radio and our ACO association with the Ascension Center organization and the ACE Metaphysical Institute. So he's been a nice friend for many years and has some shows here on our TJ Morris ET Radio archives. And we'd like to let you know that he's all about helping people and in service to others. And he helped us do a few events in California and Vegas in the past. And he's agreed to come on and help me tonight because I'm doing my best to get back reestablished in my company since my daughter died. And as of March 15th is the day we went, and she passed after midnight in the morning. And so it'll be a year. And so I'm going to do my best to help people that are in our professional association and our hobby association, and most of them get in touch with us on social media. A lot of the older folks, the kids, use Snapchat and Instagram and TikTok and all kind of other things, but most of the people my age, we use a lot of social media to talk back and forth about what we're creating, because we're all creators and agents and consultants and organizers and authors, and we're all doing what we can to stay busy in the internet. So what I'm going to do is John knows a lot about a lot, including business, helping entrepreneurs, and is an entrepreneur, but I believe these days he's retired, same as I am, and he's doing some work with people that want to get their stories out there. So he joined my ACE Folklife Association years ago and helped me, as I said, with ACO Association. So I put him under ACO Club tonight because Friday nights is by invitation only and mostly authors. And I helped him do a book, I don't know, in the past, but he is doing other books, but we decided not to publish that one at the time. We weren't quite ready, and my husband was sick, and then I gave that one back to him, so he's doing it himself. And I have TJ Morris Publishing, and my imprint is Timely Manner Books. And since then, Mad Painter has agreed to help in graphic design, so we always want to welcome a Mad Painter who is Thomas R. Becker, and he is our GM for us, helping us learn to run online various groups, and he's been with me since 2012, 2013. And then Janet Carroll Lesson of Hawaii, along with Tommy Hawksblood. But I see somebody's getting in touch with me right now. I've got two guys talking about being on our show this week. So thank you, the other John. But I've got to get on my other phone. But let me get John on here while I transfer to another location. We're going to do just video tonight. Oh, we're doing audio tonight, John. Hi, John. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Can you hear me too?
Yeah, you sound fine.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh, absolutely. Clearly. Yeah,
okay. Great. Well, will you do me a favor? I have a buzz on this phone, but it's going through my home remote line into my TV, I have a feeling. So I'm going to switch to another phone while I'm listening to you. But would you go ahead and please, John, introduce yourself however you want to?
Sure.
I've got you up as ACO Club, and I don't have your picture headshot, but I'll try to get that from you later. But I'm going to go on mute and call in on another phone.
I sent it on email, so it's there.
Anyway, I got the Tenayuca,
John.
but I didn't get your headshot. I got your picture of your pyramid.
Yeah, I sent it right after that. So it's there if you take a look.
Oh, you did?
Anyway,
thank you.
I'm going to introduce myself and take a look for the headshot, and it's there. My name is
Thank
John
you.
David Tenayuca, and I'm what is now called a Ascended Toltec Indian Master. I have July 4th, which is interesting, 2017, my gods came to me and told me that I'm not a shaman anymore. I was a born shaman. I was born to my dad in the lineage of 20 generations going back to the Tenayuca Toltec Empire and civilization that it was pre-Aztec. And then after that, we're post-Mayan. So we came out around after the Mayans went back into the mountains, and we took over as hunters, and then we created a civilization with two capitals, one in Chichen Itza, Guatemala, and the other one in Tula, which is Tenayuca in Mexico, which is at that time above 90 miles north of Mexico City. And we were the ones, we were the actual builders, the pyramid builders, after the Mayans built their pyramids. In Guatemala, we built Teotihuacan. We built all the Tenayuca pyramids, Toltec pyramids. There's an actual pyramid called Tenayuca in the city of Tenayuca, which was considered Tola, which was the capital of the Toltec Indian civilization. So what happened is that we have been more or less from the Black Jaguar lineage and have kept our lineage kind of underground from all the persecutions from the missionaries, the priests. And then the Aztecs conquered us in the year about 1300. And what we did is we migrated north to Texas, and there's a state park, an archaeological state park in Arkansas called Toltec Mounds Archaeological State Park, Arkansas. So it's ancient. What happened is they're all over the United States. They're actual Toltec mounds, but a lot of the Indians try to claim them as their sites, their monuments or what have you. But they're basically unexcavated pyramids. So we were all over North America, South America, and before that was there was also the Inca's empire, but we were the biggest because we had two capitals and we were pretty big metropolitan, and we came around after the Mayans, so we were around 1,000 years. We built the pyramids. Then the Aztecs conquered us, and then we migrated north, and then we became merchants and mercantile people that were doing business from Texas and Arizona and New Mexico, and then we went down south to we traded things. We were like business people. So then after that, I came into my dad's realm of telling me that I had to have a son. After 20 generations, it was time to have another son and keep the lineage going. So we've had to do that, and I was more or less really convinced and brainwashed and told that at a very early age I was brought here to Earth to have a son to keep the lineage going for the Tenayuca lineage and the Black Jaguar lineage. And it really was interesting because when I was born, I didn't realize that was my job. And it took me a long time to understand that until finally I realized that it was my grandmother was a matriarch. She was a Mayan Indian, and she was brought up by the German Lutherans. And then she was the one that trained. I was actually trained to be a head of the family. My dad was considered the modern Toltec king, and I was part of the royalty and of the lineage, and I was brought up to be considered that I was more or less the prince. And so when he passed away, then I became the king. I had a son, and he was more or less the prince. And I taught him everything I know. And then he was explained to do the same things, to have a son. My grandmother, everyone counseled him, told him that he was supposed to have a son. So actually I have a grandson now, and it goes into 22 generations. His name is John Paul Tenayuca. And I brought him up at 2 years old. Till he was, I took care of him when he was 2 till he was 4, 6 days a week. And I bonded with him and taught him a lot of things. And then we got to really understand why we were there. We were there to bond and love each other and be a family, strong family. So it was really great. I really enjoyed everything. So then what I have done is I went into studies. I retired at 45 years old, and I studied my lineage and the Toltec Empire, and realized what the truth was all about. And I started putting it together in a book called Toltec Wisdom, Spirituality, and Success. It's in manuscript form, and actually, which is interesting, is that TJ helped me write it, and I finally finished it. And it was really interesting because the hardest part was trying to explain success, and the success part was, about how I pretty much could retire at 45. All that I've done, in life brought me to this realization of what it was all about, being spiritually awake. So I've learned from dreams. My dad taught me how to astral travel, and taught me telepathy, and taught me all the psychic powers, abilities that we have. And so I was very aware of my abilities and my psychicness. And so I got in touch with the spirit and the Native American beliefs that my dad taught me, and basically told me that you're the island of truth, and that everything else around you is a sea of lies and deception, and that you have to believe in the truth first, and that the truth is why you're here, and that you never lie to yourself, and always be honest with yourself, because the worst kind of lies you could have is to lie to yourself. Those are the worst kind of untruths and the lies that could they'll always lead to shame and disgrace and tragedy. So I was taught that real early about truth, and whenever I lecture, I get into being a humble spirit, speaking from the heart and truth. I also became, after I was ascended Toltec Indian Master in 4th of July, I was also told by my gods that I am also a Toltec Dream Master. And so what happens is I really understand how dreams work and why we were dreaming, what is the purpose of our dreaming. It's biblical too, and also it's very important that we understand our dreams. And if we don't have our dreams, then they're being stolen from evil spirits in the spiritual realm. And I narrow it down. I'm going to explain the simplicity of the binary system. I've studied math like a mathematician, and I understand how we work in this world. And I'm going to explain my theory in a way that hopefully will be understood. And my theory is that we live in a binary world, and our system is based on 0-1, and that's how the computers were established with the assembler language, and the machine language was 0-1, on or off. And when you look at the binary system in the binary world and how it is binary, everything is either night and day, light and dark. There's always two of everything, yin and yang. And it all makes sense, because then after that it extrapolates into scientific notation and quantum theories and infinity. And so when you get into infinity, you get into eternity, and you realize that there is a concept that the cosmos relates into the idea that everything is infinite. And then it's like you have to wrap your head around that and realize that there is an infinite number of possibilities for all things to happen. And you have to keep your mind open to that. And then when you understand how your mind works, you have to get into your third eye, which is the pineal gland, and understand that the mind's eye is the one that really sees everything, and psychic abilities come from the mind's eye. Our actual visual eyes only see 10% of the universe, and we're basically blind to the actual dimensions and all the color spectrums and all the things that actually exist, because our mind's eye can see that. So when I get into dreams, which is the dream works and analysis and how our dreams are an alternate universe, that's how I feel that we become multidimensional, because I believe that when we go into our dream life and our dream world and our dream state, that's where we actually really go into the planes that I want to say are basically going to the binary system again. There's only two planes. There's the physical plane with all the physical laws that flesh and blood exists, and then there's a spiritual plane, which is the spiritual realm that I call the realm, which is spirituality of what we can't see, but our spirit sees it, and our mind's eye sees it, and where our psychic abilities see it, we sense everything. So when we go into our dream life and our dream world, our dream state, I've realized that I've learned to astral travel in the astral body in that state. And to me, it's the altered state of the subconscious, which is actually more powerful than the conscious mind, because in that dream state, when we lucid dream, we actually get into the position and understanding of what we're dreaming about is our reality in the mind's eye. So we can get into our creativity and our creation of all things, and when we get into that, we are the creator of our reality. It's true when we get into our dream state, because when you lucid dream and you realize you're inside the dream within the dream, a real good movie about that was The Inception. When you go into all these different levels of dreaming, it's somewhat like that, but it's a little more simple. It's just you stick within the dream, and then you realize that when you're dreaming within that dream, you can do all kinds of things. You get into the creation of your imagination, and your imagination takes root of everything that's going to go on in the living. There's ideas of all possibilities, and that nothing is impossible in your dreams. And I've learned to manifest from my dreams to get into a lucid dream state, and I've had a lot of groups that really grew big and powerful from it, and Facebook, and then they shut it down, because it's so amazing how our dreams really do run our life. And it's almost like it's like a computer when it's the background the system. Our system is the dream. And when we dream, we have to have ownership of our dreams, and we have to remember our dreams, because we manifest basically our reality from our dreams, and we model a lot of things from our dreams. And in our dream state, we look into the future. And when we look into the future, whenever you have a deja vu, that deja vu is actually a dream you've had of the future, and then you're flashing back to that moment again. And then you realize, deja vu, yeah, I was here before, because you dreamt it. And so that's the deja vu moment of the clairvoyant dream that you had, and you realizing that from that clairvoyant dream, you're deja vuing into the future. And that's how that, I believe, truly works. So I go into the realm, which I call the realm, and and I've seen all the dimensions, because I've astral traveled, and I've gone back to and what you're going to find out is that when you realize that to me, the Da Vinci Code is the genetic codes. And in your genetic code is all your ancestral memories of your lineage and your star family. So when at 6 years old, I was abducted by the ETs, and I was brought up into a ship. The thing that happened to me, and Dr. Jacobs is a real good person of that, is that I wasn't dreaming. I really realized that I was being taken against my will into a ship, and they were going to do some experiments on me. And I was fighting it like a wild animal, and I remember every second of it. I remember it like yesterday and tomorrow. Possibly that's what created post-traumatic syndrome disorder, because I have very, very strong phobias to doctors and medical clinics and hospitals and anything that's medical, as far as if I'm going to get a blood test or a hypodermic needle comes close to me, I completely start reacting very negative, and then my blood pressure goes really high. And a lot of times when I get my vitals, because I'm in a situation where my phobias is getting so much anxiety and panic attack, it goes up to like 240, and they think I'm having a heart attack, and it's time to call the ambulance. And I keep saying, no, it's a phobia. I spent 35 years in studies trying to overcome that phobia, and I can't. It's a very deep, dark, negative experience, and I can tell you why. Because during that abduction, and I sent the picture to TJ about the artist rendition of that abduction. When it came time for the big needle that was going to come to my head, against my will, which they had something strapped around, and they were forcing me to be subject to that needle. It was a big needle. It was like really, kind of freaked me out. And to this day, any needle that comes towards me when I get a blood test, I faint. I pass out. I just, And so what happened was this big needle was coming to my head. And now later on with Dr. Jacobs, I realized that they're extracting your pineal gland they're extracting from your pineal gland, because I understand there's a hybridization program they got going on. And from that hybridization program, they are using the pineal gland to try to put a soul back into a body, a hybrid body that's basically soulless. It really doesn't, it's almost like a clone. A clone doesn't really have a soul. It has all the genetic codes of your background and your character and things, but it's not the soul of your body. And the soul can be taken, and it happens when you die. Your soul leaves your body, and then it goes into a couple of things happen. I've had 21 near-death experiences. I know what happens when you die. Basically, you go into a near-death experience. Your consciousness gets so enhanced that all of a sudden you start time warping, and things start happening in nanotechnology seconds. Billions of a second, you live lifetimes again. You live your whole life in a second, billions of a second. And then what happens is there's this light that everybody thinks is God, and that you're supposed to go into the light, and then you're going to go to heaven. Well, it doesn't work that way. You go into the light, and it's like the same light that abducts you. It takes away and zaps your memory. It programs your memory, and I call the controllers. They use holographic technology to recreate whatever they want you to see in your mind, like a dream. Again, they put this holographic theme in your mind, and you're seeing things that aren't there, that they're recreating in a holographic sense, in your memories in your mind, and what you see through the mind's eye, through the pineal gland. So now, every time I see a needle, and I remember that abduction, at the end of the abduction, that needle was going to my head. I freaked out, and I couldn't fight that. That's when I fainted. But when I woke up the next morning, I realized that happened. And when I told my dad about it, he says, don't sweat it. Star people are your star family. My dad always knew everything about, seemed like he knew what was going on about everything. So I just have to say is that the dream world and dream life and everything that you want in your dreams, it's almost like a release factor. It keeps you balanced and sane and content when you don't have anything when you don't really experience what you want in the real world. And I know in the real world, which is a conscious world, like I said, when you start getting attacked, or if you don't have your dreams, they're being robbed. And you know what happens when you don't sleep? It's almost like sleep deprivation. You start going into you start getting altered states, start hallucinating. Because the dream world has to exist in your mind. It's your regeneration of your spirit, your soul. And you have to dream. And if you don't dream, that's how people get attacked. Because your dreams are being stolen and they're being manifested by evil spirits. And when that happens, that's when you have nightmares, and that's when you're you're unhappy and you're uncomfortable and things aren't making sense. And then all of a sudden you realize that you're unhappy and sometimes you get depressed, very depressed. And then you get into the suicidal state sometimes, and then you want to kill yourself. And I understand that's a big, major epidemic problem now, is suicide. And so, it's getting to the point now that it's like an epidemic. And so I don't understand depression. I don't understand suicide, and I don't know why people end up at the end of that road. But I studied psychology so I can understand things better. I've studied math so I can understand the numbers of the universe better, which is a universal language. And I've come to the conclusion that from all that I've studied, and I've done my research and my homework to realize that from all my experiences, I've come to the conclusions, I've come to the theories, and I've come to the understandings that for me work. And when I do that, I use dreams as a problem solver. I'm going to also say about my dreams as I travel, astral travel, and I get in touch with. I'm going to say this is that there's the American Indians say that there's only 7 dimensions. A lot of people say there are only 10 dimensions, but in actuality there's only 13 dimensions. And after those dimensions, you go into the next world, the next cosmos, the next universe. So, and I've experienced it, and I've known it, and I realized it, and I've had a few people on the high frequency level tell me the same thing. So it confirms it, and I know that anything above the 10th dimension is about what I would consider the beings that that don't need technology, and that's what my guides told me. They're from the 12th dimension, and they said that when you're 10th dimension down, all those extraterrestrials and all those beings and all those entities have to have technology to interstellar travel and to do the things that they do with ships. And some of the ships are very organic and plasma ships, and they're actually beings, they're entities that are alive, and it takes care of you, and they feel things, and they protect you from that. And my favorite species is Arcturians. What's so interesting about them is that they're the most sensual and loving and caring species that I've come to experience, and agree and resonate with them. But then again, you have to understand that there's good and bad. There's the good Arcturians and there's the bad Arcturians. The bad Arcturians are like psychic vampires, and they feed off your energy, and they drain you, and they take your energy as food. But that's just the way they exist, and there's not anything they can do about it. And then when you go to the Palladians, which they think they're the number one top dog species, it seems like everybody I've met is a Palladian, Ashtar commander, both male and female. And they kind of have like that Hitler mentality that they're the supreme and the number one race and all that. And I don't argue with that. If that's what you want to believe, that's what they want to believe. That's fine. They want to believe the supreme, the Aryan race, or whatever. That's your beliefs. I don't take anything away from the people. I figure if that's your faith or your beliefs, it's like Bob Dylan says, everybody has to serve a master, whether it's a god or the devil. So everybody has to serve. And I laughed when I met this anthropologist from Berkeley. It was a PhD. And he said to me, he goes, all animals and all the beings have soul. All the animal kingdoms have souls. And I said, really? And if that's the case, then why don't these animals build altars and worship them, and get on their hands and knees and pray to God if they have souls? Because all souls worship their master. So anyway, and I've come to that understanding. My dad told me a lot of things about everything. He never lied to me. He came from the Native American beliefs. He was the modern Toltec king. He kind of ruled his kingdom with an armed fist, and he was very, very, very powerful and very smart and very interesting, I have to say. I learned pretty much everything I know. He trained me to protect and how to protect myself and protect others that will be in the family, my sisters, everyone. And he taught me a lot of everything. And I pretty much don't want to talk about, what he's taught me, which is both good and bad. But all I could say is that I learned a lot from him. And pretty much he was always telling me the truth. And I accepted his truth. And I have always honored and respected him as my father. And I've never dishonored or said anything bad about him, because he did a very good job of bringing me up. It was very harsh and brutal, but he taught me how to be a man. He taught me the reason why I was here, and he taught me why I had to have a son. And he taught me a lot about what you learn, in terms of about the star family, to our star family. Our plan. Always, when I was a kid, talked about the sun and the moon, and 3 suns and 2 moons. And when I went to the Belize 667, which is 465 light years away, and NASA just discovered it about 6 years ago, I came in contact with the planet and the entities there, which I would call my gods. And I got to meet them, and my dad brought me there, and I realized what it was all about, full circle, and I realized where I came from, and I realized where I had to go. I realized why I ascended. I'm not going back to Earth anymore. I'm not going to be in the vicious reincarnation cycle. That's why I've been 21 near-death experiences, because I wasn't ever to go back to the reincarnation cycle. That's not my manifest destiny, and I've been told by my gods to write about everything now. So now my second book that I'm writing on that, and I'm not in a big hurry to publish them yet, because I've got a lot of stuff to do as far as translation, the design of the book, covers, the Tenayuca symbol, the pyramids. It's all going to be put on the books. The second book that I wrote that happened between January 2017 and May 17, 2019 was what happened on my way to Sedona. And it reads like a psychological thriller. And what's interesting about that book, and it's not right now being reviewed by a publishing company. But they told me that I don't want to mention the publishing company right now, because their agent just called me the day, and she was telling me that they're still reviewing it, and this is going into months now. It should have been weeks. They were saying that they didn't want sex, profanity, and violence. And basically that's what happened in the book. There was a lot of violence, and a lot of sex, and a lot of profanity. But it wasn't meant to be like that. It's just that's the way it turned out. And it's just a very, very interesting, almost enlightening spiritual journey I went on to get to the point of where now I'm at my 21 near-death experiences. And I've come to the understanding that what I do know is the 13th dimension. I'm under oath not to talk about. If I do talk about it, I somehow get punished or lose my powers, and I go into a Stephen Hawking paraplegic state. And because of all the near-death experiences I've had 7 near-fatal car accidents, I've had 7 overdoses, and I've had 7 near-fatal drownings. And I've been in a lot of situations that I don't know why it came out to 7. I believe in sacred geometry. But all I know is that I can say is there is a lot of knowledge that I got out of all those experiences that's come giving me a very good understanding and conclusion and understanding of what it is, what life and death is all about. My 2 favorite books that I always recommend to everybody who wants to read, spiritual handbooks next to the Bible, is The Prince, Niccolo Machiavelli, which is a very great book that talks about, the prince having to be trained to be the king or the pope. And that process is all about how man is still the same. And he doesn't change. He's going to always have wars. And I was talking to TJ about the Matrix being a man-made system. That, it's a man-made system is the Matrix. Anything that's man-made is basically called the Matrix. And so I've come to the conclusion that there is a lot of misunderstandings and a lot of understanding that can come out of knowing the difference between good and evil. I think get confused. There's confusion in what's good and evil. And I have an Indian story about that. And the Indian story I give is I'm walking in the desert with a horse with no name, which has happened to me before. It was at total amnesia in the 1986 near-fatal car accident. I had total amnesia. I couldn't read or write for 2 years. For 2 months, I didn't know who I was. It was really severe. I had brain damage on my left side. And it was probably the hardest time of my life that I had to come back from the abyss and learn how to, and so one of my sayings is if in order to succeed, you have to remember how you survived. And that's been my motto for a long time. And then what does not destroy me makes me stronger, Frederick Nietzsche. Anyway, I know TJ was going to go off on the other phone, and I know she wanted me to talk, and so, she normally was going to ask me questions, but what I'm doing is I'm just going through my synopsis and discourse of what my reality is about and my purpose and understanding of why I'm here. And all the near-death experiences I've had to come to the conclusion of why NDE is what it is. And my goal and my objective in that I'm spiritually awake. If you're spiritually awake, I believe your mind's eye is wide open. And if you're spiritually blind, I believe it's closed and you can't see into the realm of what's going on around you because you're blind. And spiritually, if you're not blind, you can sense everything. So I'm going to see if TJ is on the line. TJ?
Yes. I was done. You did pretty good. You could.
And I wanted to sit here and say that if you had any questions, and if you want to, whatever your format or whatever you want to do, I think I was giving it a synopsis about what it's about for me to explain who I am and what it's about as far as being spiritually awake and what the dreams are about, and how they affect you and what their purpose are and what they do for you. So anyway,
dreams.
Yeah.
Can you hear me okay? I changed phones. The other one had a buzz.
Excuse me?
Yes?
Excuse me?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the dreams, I believe we're dreaming 24 hours a day. Once you get into the dream state.
That in quantum physics and science and how it meets traditional faiths. And Friday night, the universe put us together, folks. John and I are both into blogs and writing and content providing and articles and books and helping people. But I guess you could say we're in the ace folk life in America, but internationally, we've had some archives here if you're interested. But I think John and metaphysics, and I don't know, other than bringing people together in social media on the internet, that we've really done a lot of work, except we know a lot of the ACO club has been for years and open source groups, and I was able to build lots and lots of people together, so I put him social network, but I just changed it ACO Folk Life Metaphysics. But it's funny because ACO Folk Life was part of our association, and John to keep something going. And it's hard, John. So do you mind if I put metaphysics?
If you look at some of my hashtag, there's a lot of about. I consider myself a Toltec Indian master from the Black Jaguar lineage, and my pyramid is called Tenayuca. And what I consider myself is a philosopher, a cosmologist, a spiritualist, metaphysicist, and I think what I pretty much also consider myself as Native American and Native American beliefs about the Mother Earth and the Grandfather Spirit in the sky. And I really believe those elements. So that's what I would consider myself as, a Native American who believes in Mother Earth and the Grandfather Spirit in the sky. So I would say that from all my open-mindedness and my third eye and my mind's eye, I'm very psychic to the point where I could very telepathic. I'm empathic. I'm almost an empath, but I don't like to put my energies into that because I like to preserve my energies. I don't like to, and I believe in the life force energy of our spirit. So, but I believe that all our psychic abilities and all our psychic powers come from our spirit, not the soul. I consider the soul a very weak entity, just like the body. And I consider the soul the software that interfaces the mind and the mind, which is the spirit, spirituality of the mind, and then the body, which is the physicality of the flesh and blood. I consider those all kind of like they cross over, and that this is my secret. My secret to my power and strength as a warrior is that I believe in the spirit is very very strong, invincible, and immortal, and I believe the body is very weak as the soul is very sentimental and nostalgic. And if you read my favorite books, which is Niccolo Machiavelli, The Prince, and Screwtape Letters, C.S. Lewis with Screwtape Letters, you understand that there are little spiritual handbooks that I'd like to tell people to read so that you could get a kick out of how easy it is to just see how, heaven and hell work. So for me, I kind of put my energies into being a free will and a free spirit. And I don't like to be trapped. And I'm not into jealousy. I believe jealousy is a very dark energy and gets into emotional entrapment, emotional blackmail, emotional, extortion. I think jealousy is a very, very negative energy, almost like hate. But I believe love is the most powerful force of the universe. And I believe love is the healing factor that heals the spirit. And I believe that 528 megahertz is the most perfect frequency, perfect sound in the universe. And I've created people copied it on YouTube, so I very, very rarely put anything on YouTube anymore. But I took the church choir and slowed it down 800%, and then it became angelic, and it was very ethereal and esoteric. And I believe those frequencies heal and protect your spirit from evil, negative, low-frequency bombardments. And I have footages of that show how the frequencies come out of the TV, they come out of the outlets, they come out of electromagnetic frequencies that are created by a lot of different things, which I could even say, 5G is a frequency, or anything that's frequency on the level of gamma rays, all the different frequencies that we can read have, like I said, they have effect. Low frequencies are not really positive frequencies. Music and sound vibrations that go into the frequencies and sound frequencies, there's some good and bad, and so you got to be careful about which ones that you tap into, because some can heal and some can be destructive. And I've done a lot of study and research. I've done a lot of homework and a lot of experiments on that level of understanding things in that frequency level, sound and light frequencies. And so I got into some technologies that I'm going to introduce soon about healing, and so that's pretty much where I'm going. So, what do you think, TJ? Since we haven't talked in a while, are you there, TJ? Anyway, so I'm really into frequencies and music. Music is my therapy to fill the void. And when I fill the void with sound frequencies and sound vibrations, I always use good frequencies and good sounds to feel better. And I've done a lot of research on that. And I also have a friend who's a PhD who just got his PhD in sound and sonic waves affecting human behavior. And he has a blueprint of an auditorium for in healing en masse, at least 250 people that you would want to put inside an auditorium where the sound frequencies would heal your spirit and your body with whatever ailment you may have. And it all goes back to the Rice theories of the Rice doctor, Dr. Rice, in the 30s. So
now, you hadn't met Dr. Jacobs, right? I thought I had it on speaker and I had it on mute while ago, so I apologize, John, when you're asking for TJ. But the buttons, what can I say?
I know you're there.
I mute in between since I'm just doing audio. Yeah. But I appreciate you being here tonight. You did a really good job. Do you have your own radio?
Excuse me?
Do you own your own radio show, or I know that you were talking about meeting Dr. Jacobs, and then you help other people. I
I have my own private. I have my private broadcast going on. Like you know how Periscope works. I was in the forefront of Periscope. I remember when I first joined it. What happened with Periscope is that when it started with it, and after it invested $20 million, so did Facebook. Facebook started live broadcasting, and everything I do revolves around footage and video. And so every time I'm in a private situation, I always have a camera on me, so I can capture some of the most interesting, most bizarre experiences you can imagine. I mean, I've seen things go on around me that are majorly unbelievable. And I have certain cameras with certain filters that can see things that you would normally not see. The technology unlocks some of the things that are in the realm that we can't see with our naked eye. But the cameras and the technologies and the filters can't. And I went to the eclipse. I went to Alliance, Nebraska, with 3 cameras, and I put the filters on the certain filters that I use with the beta. There were this software that I was using and experimenting with all these different vendors, try to find the right filters that unlocked it all. And I had 3 cameras on the eclipse. Camera had its own footage and its own way of viewing what happened in the eclipse, which was amazing. Because when I sit here and I try to study other footages of the eclipse, it's very hard for me that I've ever gone into YouTube to find an actual footage of the eclipse of the one that happened in 2017. And I was at the equinox. That's why I went to Alliance, Nebraska. I drove nonstop in a 2017 convertible Mustang from California to Colorado, Walsenburg, picked up some people, and went to Alliance, Nebraska so I could put 3 cameras up on tripods and film the eclipse. Now, what happened is the footage got lost in a fire that I wrote the book about that happened to me on Highway 5 when I was moving all my stuff to Colorado, including all my footage, and I had a lot of my artifacts and things that you can't replace anymore for flames. And when I saw the footage, and I took the footage of what was going on, because behind the fire, I saw entities that were there and made the fire become alive. And then I saw the gull-winged ships in the background, and I thought those are the ones that started the plasma fire. They were using plasma rays to start fires. So I blamed those ships and starting Napa fires. And then last year, in 2019, I was leaving Ventura when the fire started again for Paradise. And the fire started in Paradise at a fire they say they were in a campfire, Paradise by Sacramento. And what's so strange is that they said that the same fires that took place before in 2017 was the same. It seemed like there was a design behind the fire, and what it was supposed to make way for something in the future. I've gone through Nevada, which was another mind-blowing experience for me. That I went through Nevada in 1993, 91, and I've been through Area 51 when it first opened, and it wasn't really the way it was now. But at the time when it first opened, I saw this being right across the street, right across the freeway from Area 51, and I had a carload of people. I was going from Reno to Vegas, and I was on that freeway, which was like 93 or something. We didn't even know what it was. Area 51 hadn't even existed yet, and there comes this being running across the freeway, and everybody goes, "Did you see that?" And I go, "Yeah, did you see that?" And it's exactly the same being. That the legs are backwards. They're backwards. I don't understand. And I've seen this being before, going running across the freeway at other underground military installations, and I don't know why that being has to have those legs backwards. And
that's
what it's about.
That you say that. It has something to do with the folding and how they travel. Yeah. But I've seen somebody. There's a guy that does Project Runway now for Heidi Klum, and when he was standing there, I know this sounds funny. I guess it's just how my brain thinks. But on the movie, you know how we watch television, our programs, our friends of ours own programs, and he was one of the winners. But he now does the shows as a mentor. And when he stands and they showed him silhouette, you know how they'll do, just from the camera's point of view, and you and I both use cameras, but his legs reminded me of that. And it's odd that a few days later, after my brain recorded those folding legs backwards, it's mentioned that study synchronicity and serendipity. But I wonder why that's up. You think it's a ET thing, or it's just we know ETs are on Earth and we are ETs and we're on the little orb spinning around in space, so we're all alien and we're all in space. So we're space aliens. But what is that about?
I believe they're part of the insectoids. You know, the ones that are they look like praying mantis. There's an abduction. There's an insectoid that's supposedly the top dog of the abducted. There's the reptilians, and then there's the Greys. The Greys are. I'm going to tell you what the Greys are. Who the Greys are. The Greys are us from the future. We have been so cloned. We got into the transhumanism agenda, and we took the mother out of the nuclear equation of the family, and then we got into this cloning process where we became so cloned we became sterile. And then what happened was our race started going away, and there was no more of the normal reproduction process because we thought we were God doing the cloning. So now the Greys are coming back with the help of the insectoids, which are still, I guess in the future they still exist in that state. They're trying to correct the mistake of the transhumanism agenda that they have made right now as we speak. That's what the whole hybridization program is about. That's what I told Dr. Jacobs. He didn't know what to say because it was like so out there, my idea. Trying to correct the transhumanism agenda mistake of cloning us into sterility like donkeys. That's what I think. That's my theory. What do you think, TJ?
Well, they're humans, but they're small humans. Some of them hold this head, right?
Mm-hmm. That's my assumption.
If you look at them from the side, you can tell because it's like there was some in one of those movies, like Contact, or with who is that guy? Smart Manly Man. What is that actor's name? Anyway, he was in one of those sci-fi movies, and they had those beings, and they popped their legs backwards. So that's what I've envisioned in my mind, right? And that's what you're talking about, right? They ran across the highway, and instead of their knees forward, they somehow explain what you saw.
What I thought.
It's like they could go either way, right? Grasshoppers, or they pop them backwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I think they're from the insectoid family, the ones that supposedly part of the abduction process, and they're the ones that run the show because they're really strong-minded. And I think
so it depends on the egos of the people that are programmed in their biologicals, because some of the egos say the insectoids run the Greys. And I've worked with humans that are called Andromedans and Nordics, and they're peace lovers. But they, the ones I was trained with when my husband was alive, the Greys said that they're, at least this was my indoctrination, that the Andromedans worked with the little Greys. I know there's all kind of people that talk about the Greys, but we'll talk about the ones from 47. That their planet was destroyed by some big Wolverine wolf guys like. They said Gene Roddenberry was part of the Ennead 9 in that take-in when they had Werner Erhard and I don't know, Ron Hubbard, and all these people were sort of briefing on the past, our ancient cultures, right? Of course, kids today, it's all over folklore. But they were being briefed on the various kinds. And some of the Greys' stories intermixed, but somehow the egos back in the days before we had the internet, where they were putting together the various types of Greys. And that's why I want the folk life history, because traditionally we have all those from, hundreds of thousands of years, and the Sumerians and the Anunnaki stories. But what about those that we do study in today's passed down, not just ancient wisdom, but now, I don't know if you've researched it, but who believes the insects, like you say, like a matter of fact, And a lot of people say matter of fact. Now, me and you have died, so we have our own, what we've heard and experienced here, written, which is just oral written tradition. But then what about that goes back to the soul? And maybe, let me ask you, because it's asked to me, where do you get your story from? I mean, if you saw them run across the road, did you go back and reflect on any past life experiences? Because
No.
All
you know what?
types.
I'm a walk-in. TJ, I never told you this, but I'm a walk-in. Okay.
A lot of people said that's what I said. I said in the 80s I was a walk-in because that's what Ruth Montgomery told me. That's back in the day in the early 80s when I was just sort of waking up after the 60s and 70s. But walk-in, that folks, you can be born here, but then you can still have an awakening. And then we have another conscious. But a lot of people that are interdimensionals have awakenings into different, we call them different personalities. It used to be bipolar personality or 7 like Sybil. But now in science, we're discovering everybody has various levels that check in and out. I guess it'd be programs. You download some and others you bring in. But explain then walk-in and personality traits, because we're talking about grays, but it's you and me, and we're in human form. But I'd like to know your history. Why? Because remember now, we're talking to people that can't see us in audio, but I'm really glad that you brought up or evoked in metaphysics those beings running across the road in Vegas. Because I've seen those
I saw them twice.
And then I put it in human form. Can you help me out here? Because, you know, you see grays, I see grays. People work with grays. But I've never really come across very many insectoids. Now, I have been seen humans with insectoid, what would you say? Like the guy that looks like I've seen them pop their legs back and forth, and I can't do that. So, and you think they're insectoids. But you also think that they rule over the grays, and the grays will disagree with you. But that just depends on if you're talking to a gray or insectoid, I guess. So
I understand that. I understand that. But if you listen to Dr. Jacob,
philosophy.
Dr. Jacob,
how did you come across that information?
Well, part of it was confirmed by Dr. Jacob. And so I listened to his stories, and another one was Laurie McDonald. She was a regression person like Dr. Jacobs, and they use hypnosis to bring people's memories about their abduction experiences. And what happened is I don't have to be hypnotized to know what happened because I remember it like yesterday. And my understanding and my thing is that we have all these different species that have been genetically engineered into hybridization programs, and I believe that the reptilians come from the kind of the lizard family, and then you're going to have some hybrids of insectoids that have come from the insect family, and I believe there have been all hybridization program has made them genetically from back in Egypt when they used to put the different heads on different bodies and different, animals and different, human bodies and stuff. I think they've been experimenting. And then I was over at Colorado when I was in the and I'm going to tell you, this is where it comes from. My understanding is that I was in the what I call the triangular UFO valley of where they had the cattle mutilations, and I saw and felt in the sky all the different bases, the different species, the different ships, they were all assembled there. And I felt what they were doing. And then I was in the Phoenix Lights in I think it was 97 or 1993. It was 1997, November 13th or something. I was there with my 2 dogs. It's two German Shepherds. And I felt that was a mothership that was just collecting people like War of the Worlds. They were just harvesting and picking up bodies that they were just taking with them. Because when I saw this big mothership in the Phoenix Lights, my dogs are barking. My dogs have saved my life like 2 or 3 times. And I looked up and I see this big old mothership. I said, okay. The first thing I did was stop, and then I decided what's next, what's going to happen next. And it was like they were going to abduct me if I hadn't looked. And my dogs warned me, and so when I looked up, it wasn't like they were going to be able to just take me and it was going to be that easy, because it's happened before. I have a lot of experiences about that, where I've run into reptilians, and I run into what demons, which I believe are reptilians with wings, that have come from Draco, and they're all, there's all different types of reptilians. And my dad knew a lot about a lot of things, and he never told me everything. He didn't want to tell me about that. But when we went to Hilo, Hawaii, and I'm going to go back to the insectoids in a minute, but I'm trying to give you the big picture of what I've experienced to come to these conclusions. And it's not something that I'm going to retract. It's something that I've experienced, and I've come to the conclusion that this is what it is. And I've been able to understand it, and with my clear mind and free will and free spirit, not brainwashed and mind controlled or MK Ultra or anything else to be disturbing my mind. I know exactly what I saw. I know exactly what I've seen. And what happened when I was in the area 51 and I saw that thing run across the street, the freeway, like really fast, like 100 miles an hour, it was like it was running for its life. I went with my group of people in the car that I was driving. I was driving a 69 a Landau T-Bird. It was really nice, big, and we all saw it. My party of people that I was driving in there, I said, "Did you see that?" I go, "Yeah." And what I did is I went up the road that it came from, and when I went up the road, I drove up into the area 51, didn't know what it was, and they didn't even really have that many signs yet, like they do now. And all of a sudden, these big 4x4 Ford trucks came around, and these guys in these white coveralls, got out of their trucks, and they surrounded me in the trucks, and then I slowed down because they had me boxed in, and they pulled out and they came out with these automatic, like, I don't know if they're M16 rifles or anything, but they're automatic rifles that they were ready to shoot, and I was like, okay, everybody stop. And everybody got freaked out, and I just said, just chill, don't say nothing. So what I did is I slowed down and stopped, and I looked at all of them around me. There was about 10 trucks, white trucks, with white coveralls, and these guys came out with these rifles, automatic rifles, and they were all clicking them like they were all, jamming into the. And then I just sat there and I looked at everything, and everybody was like, are they going to kill us? And I said, just shut up, let me think. And then I just put the car in reverse and idled out real slow. And I thought, if there's any in my direction that they point those rifles in my direction, I'm going to floor it. I'm going to come out, get out of this damn space I'm in. I'm going to rear end the truck, get it out of my way, and I'm going to hit the road. I'm not going to get stuck and get executed like that. I thought I would, like everybody else thought I would. So I came in reverse, and instead they moved out of my way. And then when I got to the freeway, I was so adrenaline pumped because it was so. I was fight or flight, and my adrenaline was so pumped that all I could do was punch the car. And I'm in a 69 T-Bird, Landau, which was a two-door coupe. And I just punched that thing, and that thing went 140 miles an hour, man. And I drove that way for like halfway to Vegas because I was so unbelievably charged with that moment of life and death. And that was my experience. And that thing that ran across the street, the freeway. And I said to myself, he was trying to escape for his life. He escaped with his life. Whatever he was doing was to escape, to live, and was running for his life.
When you brought up the weapons, it reminded me of sitting in Denver and saw something like that and I would never put this together, John, if the universe hadn't put us together today. So remember, I use synchronicity and serendipity a lot, but see, you're helping me evoke memories that normally, how so many of them just fade away or you don't share. But this is just off the cuff. That to me, why I do radio and archiving for us is because it comes up, you forget about it. It doesn't mean you're lying. It just means the memory is somewhere in your houses or rooms. And I'd love to go into that because I love neuroscience in the brain. But what happened is I was sitting at I think it was TA when I was driving a big truck, and I had to deliver to Denver a lot. And in this big hole, they were building the new airport. And my husband and I were sitting inside the TA, and all of a sudden, all these men in gear, black gear and machine guns, when you said gun, I saw this vision in my head. I remember sitting there and seeing these men run in, and people didn't even see out the windows. And I thought, surely I'm not seeing this. But it really was. I ran into I didn't have a cell phone then, so it must have been, in the 80, it was 2090. It was during the Phoenix Lights area, 98, somewhere in there, because that was my grandson's birthday. He wasn't born yet, but they brought him down 3/13/97. He was born 2000 or 1999. Anyway, when they were digging that deep hole something had come across. You know how they put up the wire around the interstate, because interstate was between where I was sitting and where they were building the deep hole, and we'd been watching it for months, right? Coming in, bringing stuff for the building the airport, but something ran into that. They came into the truck stop, so finally I went to the payphone, called the FBI, and they didn't know about it, but they showed up later because I called and came in a few suits to talk to me. And what the cover story was, all the men in black with the machine guns raided the truck stop because I think they were looking for something having to do with because we were talking as truck drivers about the big white light or UFO sitting down in the at the hole. So I wondered if they were bombing or when they were digging the hole. You know how we dig underground? We have lots of underground places. If one of those, like back in the day, got out or something. But have you ever heard of anything right there in Denver?
Well,
but that's what you make me think about. He was running for his life, right? So something and was running for its life. And it was in some kind of covered black garb, but it wasn't one of them. So I got confused. So I don't know what I saw, but neither did anybody else. So the men weren't too long before they were running in. So I think something strange come in the front door. I went ahead and sat down. And then later on, these guys, and it wasn't 5 minutes from the time, you come in the back door and sit down. But one of the FBI guys says that they said they were tracking some guy that came in with a truck driver. But I didn't know. And then another two men that were not FBI, they were like men in black or something, but they came over and were talking to a man and his son that said they saw something and I was trying to find out, but my husband was making me, come on, let's go and get out of this craziness. So, on the phone. I don't know what they saw, but my husband wouldn't allow me time. I just happened to be there. So you got the feeling that this thing was running, and people had guns or not with you?
No,
because they did.
They were fully armed with automatic rifles. Yeah, they were armed. And everybody there thought we were going to get killed, shot at, and we were going to die. So that's why I said when I pulled out in reverse and I went around, I went back in reverse and idled out. By the time I hit the freeway, that's when it hit me that we could have been killed right there at the end of our story. And so I felt that for some reason, because of the move, I didn't freak out or do anything stupid and came out real slow, that they just let us go. But it was almost like it could have been a life or death situation where my adrenaline was so packed, it was so high. It was like I felt like, that we could have got killed right there. I mean, it was a life or death situation. And I don't.
My brain's having trouble.
But my senses get that high and that strong. It's life or death. I really felt that's what was going to happen to us, and that's what.
Yeah, I got that rush too. It's an adrenaline rush because my brain was trying to put together what I saw, and several of us started getting together in little groups after all the ruckus happened. In between, my husband wanted us to leave. We were running, trying to check in each little group. You know how there were like civilians that drove cars. You've been in a truck stop before, and it was a busy time between 2 and 6, afternoon. But to have the guys come up with the guns, and my husband said, because he had his back to the door, but he didn't see him until I pointed him out, and he didn't believe me. And he was looking right at me. So, and he was a spy, CIA kind of guy, right, in and out of the country. So he didn't. He was like, I've never seen like here, so you can imagine it was very shocking to see what we were seeing. But
well,
now
again,
where were you? Because I was at a truck stop across from the Denver airport being built. You were in Las Vegas or at Area 51
No, I was
outside
in
the gate?
51. I drove into Area 51, the actual Area 51. I mean, that thing that ran out of there ran out of Area 51 and was running for its pure life. It was running to not be killed. And that's
were you in construction then? What job did you have?
It was just that one road. There's only one road if you go to Area 51 that goes into that airfield. and it's very simple to get in. You don't have a bunch of in and outs to get in there. That was the one that it seemed like it was open.
Because they've had that gate. You know, we had the big Area 51.
I'm talking about in the early 70s, in the 70s. Yeah, this is a long time ago. That's why when I heard about they were going to have that Area 51 was going to be invaded by those people, they were going to go there, they were going to rush it.
Yeah, we're doing the run.
I gave that story to everybody saying, if you go in there thinking you're going to do that, they're going to blow you away for trespassing and think you're a terrorist. And they have the right to do that. And there's no reason why you would want to go into a private, restricted area, military area, thinking you're going to bum rush it like an idiot and walk away alive. They will turn the automatics on there, to anybody for going against.
Yeah, we changed that.
I mean, that's just the law of the land. And the law of the land, any government comes down to the barrel of a gun. So if anybody goes there, it reminds me of the couple that went to Taliban, the Palo Alto couple, about, I don't know how many years ago, 5 years ago, during Obama. And she's saying they're saying, and they just got married, whatever they were doing, they said there's no such thing as evil. So they go to Afghanistan and they're bicycling through Taliban. The Taliban catch them and decapitated them. Okay, now it's like, what were you expecting? What did you expect from that experience? What did you think you were going to get out of it?
That was a guy that was form Area 51, but he got a lot of hits. And you know the story, right? The form Area 51 started on Facebook as a joke.
Oh, I got the whole write-up. I got the whole write-up and everything, and I just thought to myself, good luck. If you think you're going to go bum rush into Area 51, even today as it is, you're asking to kill.
Yeah, his name was Robert. He created that in June, but the date was September. Now, I think we're going to keep that because we all got together, and I did too. Some of us that are UFO enthusiasts, and what we are is event coordinators, agents, consultants, organizers, and people that had businesses there. We promote Area 51, but we promote the museum and events. So the guy took it downtown with probably your friends that have some of the hotels, and that was good. So they had a party in town, and then they also had out the lady that has little alien. I forgot her name. Darn it. For some reason, I can't think tonight. But anyway, I think I was telling you, that's what I want to do. It's odd that you vote that. I want to do that. It's September. I think we're going to do it again, right? Every weekend of September 20th. But what it is we're still going to have music.
It's all right. It's like a Roswell. It's like Roswell. Yeah. It's all right to celebrate it or talk about it and all that. But if you think you're going to break the law, and like I said, the law of the land is the barrel of a gun.
That's the way it started.
You're going to bum rush a restricted military area. You're asking to get your head blown off like the Taliban cut the heads off those people that were not believing there was such thing as evil. Okay, I mean, you're going to get your head knocked out. Now, if you can't understand that, if you're really acting ignorant, like the two married couple that went from Palo Alto, they didn't talk about it very much. I mean, there's no reason to think that you could get around the laws of the land and the way the rules work and think it's okay, because it's not okay. You're asking to get killed, and that's what you're going to get. And to me, it's like, why do that? It doesn't make sense. It's okay to celebrate something and recognize something, but it's not okay to go against the law and break the law and get your head blown off doing it. It's not okay. And I've been to the military. I've been to the underground military installations, okay? And there's 125 to 150 of them in the United States. And Elon Musk, with his boring company, creates a lot of that atmospheric HAARP sound that everybody thinks is military. And all he's doing is he's just digging underground all these tunnels and all these caverns and all these cities, and it creates that noise in the atmosphere. And that's what I've come to the conclusion of. And so, and Elon Musk is making big bucks doing that. He was going to create that loop-de-loop or whatever in Chicago and was going to get $1 billion contract with the federal government, but it was too far-fetched that nobody could, get into it. But, I mean, Elon Musk is not stupid. He really knows what he's doing, and I tip my hat to him. But I don't think he's the golden boy that everybody thinks he is. And I think he's up to making money, and he's doing the right thing for himself. But, as far as the noble things, like even Bezos, and all that. I don't know what it is that, it's like Alexa, okay? I have this little post of Alexa, but this guy goes and he has Alexa there, does all these murderous things, and then the police come to his door, and then because he told Alexa, because Alexa was saying something, shut the hell up, or something, then Alexa started showing the TV and all the footage and all the things about what he did illegal and wrong that, the police arrested him right there. And then Alexa says, don't you ever tell me to shut up. Shut the hell up. It was a great post. I loved it. So I'm just saying, it's like there's the good and bad and the ugly, and you got to always keep track of it all. You just can't say it's all good.
Well, can't we keep track of it with our group, you and my group, the ACO International, because it got the UFO business and marketing, because, we're all about society and social, economics, and the environment, but
yeah. I'm losing you. You hear me, right? Because if so, I was going to say that I was at those military installations in the Dual City in New Mexico and all that, and I feel the energy that it's not good. And I feel that when you're trespassing and you're doing things that you're not supposed to be doing, they almost have the right to take you out. And so it's like if you're asking for it, like Lawrence Livermore Lab, it's if you're going to places that you're not supposed to go, you don't go there, and you stay safe because they're protecting it. It's like it's secret. It's a secret installation, and it's meant to be secret, especially when it comes to weapons and stuff like that. So to me, it's just better not to go mess around with that kind of stuff, and it's safer not to do that. I mean, if you see military all around, like in Mexico, you go to Mexico and then you go visit, some resort and all that, and you see all these militia with M16s on the beach and all that stuff. For some reason, it doesn't feel comfortable to go out there and think it's safe with a bunch of militia, 16-year-old militias in M16s wearing black fatigues with all these black Suburbans sitting around. Somehow it doesn't feel safe to me. So, and some people would feel safe because they feel like they're protected or whatever, but, around me, there's something that it's opposite. I don't feel safe. I feel like there's something that's going to go wrong, and it's just better not being there. So I don't. To me, I'm not a whistleblower or a conspiracy theorist, and I'm not trying to make these things up to buck the system. It's just what I believe is true. So and I very rarely ever retract to say that, what I'm saying is not true. And I've heard a lot of people say things and embellish the truth, thinking that it's better to keep lying about it because you can get more interesting information and make more money doing it. To me, it's like enough's enough not telling the truth anymore. And if you can't tell the truth anymore about what's really happening, then what's the point of lying? Because then it's not true, and then you're not getting. I mean, what are you getting out of it? Money, and it's a corrupt money, and you're hitting it the wrong way, and everything about it's wrong. So the best thing that I saw happen, which I thought was really interesting because everybody's talking about the secret space program and all that, was when Trump made it public and said that we're going to have Space Force now. And so good, because it all started with Star Wars and Reagan. And Reagan put a bankrupt Soviet Union out of business, and that made them the small country that they are now. They think that Putin is like one of the richest men in the world, who ran KGB. So all he is basically a dictator, and that's it. We're a small country, Soviet Union, Russia now. But there was a time when it was a real behemoth, organization that was very, very big and dangerous. But not anymore. Not anymore. So, and I think Trump is doing kind of like, some of the right things. And then to me, he's kept his promises. So, I'm not anti this or anti Trump or anti anything. I'm a very, very balanced person who doesn't believe in conspiracy theories and all that stuff. And so, I'm not into, and I'm anti-terrorism. I believe in I believe in not selling out to the New World Order and all that. So. I believe in America, and I have this new idea that I want to do about making, how Trump came up with this theme about making America great again. Well, he did, but now what I want to do is make America beautiful. When I go, I was, I lost my license because of my medical reasons, and I can't see. I'm losing my eyesight. So, I've had a lot of drivers, 25 drivers up to date, the past 2 years. And I've been driven around. And then when my last driver totaled out the car, and then I had to go back into the public transportation, I was amazed at what I experienced in public transportation. And nothing against, people that have mental problems. But then when you run into these psychotic lunatics who want to threaten your life, it kind of builds character, And so what I saw when I was walking around, getting into the public transportation was everything around, beautiful little rivers and creeks and streets and things, has garbage and debris. And that bothered me. And I took pictures of it and all that. And I thought, you know what? Trump had the right idea about making America great again. I want to make America beautiful again. And I want people, I want to get meetups, and I'm going to start putting it on a national basis, a national scale. When I get ready, I'm a little free to do that. And have this as kind of a hands-on organization volunteer that talks about keeping America beautiful. And America the Beautiful is the theme song. And what I want to do is I want to pick up all the debris and the garbage from the creeks and the rivers and the national parks, that there's these volunteer groups at least once a week that goes and does that. On top of helping the janitorials and all the people that does the maintenance and clean up and what have you around. But just do that as human beings. And in the spirit of JFK, and it's not what the country can do for you, it's what you can do for your country and the service of mankind and humanity. And so to me, it's just a nice way of saying, the way to make America beautiful is to just go and pick up the garbage after yourself, for one. And then maybe volunteer and pick up the garbage that's laying around in all the creeks and all the streets. And then, clean up the neighborhoods. You know how they have people that they put into the yellow uniforms, and they do these drunk drivings, and they have to be forced by the sheriff's program to go pick up garbage and all that. Well, I think voluntarily we just decide, maybe not in the freeway because it's dangerous, but in the streets, in the neighborhoods, in the shopping centers, in the parks. I think if everybody just made an effort to pick up the garbage. And on my birthday, I asked to donate to my cause of picking up, getting all the plastic out of the ocean. And I had some people donate some money, which amazed me, because then there's some conscientious people that really care about the environment. And planting trees, instead of taking them down and putting them back, As a Native American, I just have this feeling that it's going to be my new agenda platform. As one of my things that I would like to help, make America beautiful again, and just start picking up our garbage. I do that anyway. Since I started doing the public transportation thing, I picked up all the garbage around me, and I saw it all over the place. And then people saw me do it, and they were wondering what I'm doing. And and I'm thinking, I should put this into a platform, into a agenda where we should just pick up all the garbage and the debris that's just laying around, making America look really, really kind of shoddy and ugly, and make it beautiful again. So anyway, that's my program that I want to start thinking about in the future. And I'm going to do that as soon as I have more free time, since I'm so busy trying to get caught up with with myself. Then that's one of the things I want to do for pleasure and fun and community. The reason why I got into I believe that I got into why I like Facebook so much is because I got into producing conferences was for community, and I love community. I think that's what's missing. Everybody's by themselves. I think when you build community, or you go to church and you go, to any church that where there's community and everybody comes together and they become friends and they want to help each other, and if they have hard times, they support each other and all that. I think that's a really good positive thing. And I think what we need to do is just go back to community. There's nothing wrong with Facebook until they get onto that technology like facial recognition, if they're selling it to third parties. That's wrong. And a lot of things like Facebook does is wrong. They fact check with these CNN reporters on scientific things that they know nothing about, just to downgrade everything. But they're doing better now, because I guess they figured if you can't beat them, we got to join them. So anyway, that's one of my things that I want to do. I wonder if that's so far-fetched. It doesn't matter. At least it's the idea that counts. So that's what I want to do, is I want to start a meetup groups, volunteer, where we all get together, and I buy the garbage bags, 30-gallon contractor bags, and then everybody get together and get some gloves, disposable gloves, and then just pick up garbage, and put them in the bags and make everything look really clean and nice again. I think that would be a really great effort consciousness, for beauty, for awakening, and all that. So, anyway, that's my idea. I don't know if you agree with that or what you think of it, but that's what I was thinking. I don't want to take the whole show and talk. And I see that you come and go. I know you're busy, TJ, but I hope you enjoyed my conversation. Yeah, I can hear you. But I'm just let me go on a train of thought, which is really good because that's what I have to do. Is I have trains of thought, and then I just like to follow it through, and not without interruptions, unless I'm into the question and answer phase where you have any questions. But I really enjoy the train of thought, the stream of consciousness, where I could just talk it all out what I was thinking, and then get it off my chest. And so I hope it was okay.
Can you hear me? Because
yeah.
I wonder, it may be the cell phone I'm using, because I hear you and then I'm answering you, but it's like you're still talking and you don't hear me. So it's probably.
No, I don't hear you. I don't hear you.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then I
well,
think go on.
I've got two phones, but I've had some kind of reception problem on my cell phones, but not my home. I don't know. Well, what state do you want?
I can help with that.
Oh, good. All right. Well, right now.
I can help with that. Yeah. So anyway, tell me what you want to say, because like I said, I'm done talking now. It's your turn. If you have any questions or you want to talk to me about anything, it's your turn to talk, TJ. I'm done. I'm pretty much, after I gave that last platform, I wanted to pick up the bringing garbage around all the, make America beautiful again. That was really my dream. And I thought I'd share that. Thank you.
That's good with the trees and the anything you can do, and like you said, if you're an organizer and you can take action and together with people, especially in the towns. But for the last 30 minutes, we can talk about where we're going in the future a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. What I do as far as looking to the future is because I'm Native American, I go into what I call vision quest. And now that they legalized psilocybin, magic mushrooms in Colorado, I want to go every year to Colorado to go on a vision quest. Check into a bed and breakfast inn that I know over in Walsenburg, and do my research in my delve into this Tri-Valley, which is Lobita, Crestone, and Walsenburg, and it's the area where the cattle mutilations all take place. And there's an Indian reservation there, a huge Indian reservation, and the gods came to me in the form of sun rays and said, "This is your birthright, John. You should come here and start a big organization or whatever you want to do. Green Sky festivals, whatever you want to do. Come here and do it. You should do it. It's your birthright to do it." So that's what I want to do: is go on my vision quest and look into the future, because the sad thing about it is that every time I go on a vision quest, every year or two, I take a pound of mushrooms, psilocybin, which is my religious beliefs to do that. And I go to sleep eating them, I wake up eating them, and I eat them all day. That's all I eat for like 2 weeks. And I go really into an altered state. And for 2 weeks, I'm in a rustic cabin over in Mendocino family camp, way in the back, where nobody knows that I'm there. When I go along, I disappear in the back. Beautiful. It's like Sleepy Hollow, and then across it you got to hike around and you go around and there's the ocean and the beach, Casper Beach and Fort Bragg and all that. Oh, it's beautiful. And I go into another Rip Van Winkle state of mind, and into an altered state as an Indian, and I see the future. And what I see in the future, and it's possible tsunamis that change the continent. That the water will come up to Highway 5, and then all half of California is going to go underwater. And I see all this stuff, that happens. And I try to understand why, and I don't get it. In other words, it doesn't make sense to me why I'm seeing it over and over and over again. Under all my vision quests, when I take magic mushrooms, I see the same thing happening over and over and over again. So it amazes me that that's my vision quest, is to see tsunamis and all these different things that change the continents of the earth and stuff, and then how things are going to change, and stuff that I see from the future. So that's kind of like, I don't know if it's prophecy or if it's a futuristic thing of Armageddon or the end times or what's going on, But I see, and I've had a psychic in 2012 write me a psychic letter, that in 2017, everything that happened in my book, what happened on my way to Sedona, happened in advance. And she coded the dates. And so I started realizing it. When I bring that letter out, I'm going to put it in the book. I'm going to find it again because it's in my records. And it was a really strange and interesting letter that talked about everything, including Trump. 5 states I was going to be in, and listed all the 5 states and everything that was going to happen, how it's going to happen. Very psychic, and she was very prophetic with that letter that she wrote in 2012. You know. So anyway, that's what I can say about the future. Is I see things that are not going to be too good. You know, it's good now, and we hope we keep it good, it stays good. But there's going to be things where we're going to be challenged. And and we're gonna have to meet the challenge and live up to the challenge, or we get subjugated again and get trapped some more. Anyway, I hope you're there, and that's about what I like to contribute about the future. Is what I just shared with the psilocybin magic mushrooms vision quest that I go on as an Indian, and I don't know. I want to hear what you had to say about that, TJ.
That's fine. Let me turn that phone off. Let's see, mute.
Wow, you're going into echo. That's interesting.
Oh, that was because I had the other phone on.
Yeah,
No,
I like that sound. It's just like when I look into mirrors and I set up the mirrors so I can see infinity. I love that look of mirrors.
Well, you couldn't hear me apparently on the cell phone very well.
No. I hear you now though. That's why it's your turn.
Okay, well let me hang that phone up. This one has a buzz in it. I think it's the machine. Hopefully it won't come across if you can't hear the buzz. Maybe it's just in my. You don't hear a buzz, do you, when I'm talking?
No. It's really clear. Actually, right now is the clearest.
Okay, good.
All night.
All right. Well, good. All right. Well, then that's the problem. Using cell phones on this studio, which is out of New York, transferring it over to somewhere in Oregon, I think, before you get it. Now, you've mentioned a lot of topics, and you like to social network and build teams. You and I were talking about team building, but I was talking to you about maybe meeting you during the, I didn't know you were going to call it, but yeah, the Storm Area 51, but they changed it to Alien Stock. And with the museum there, and you can still have people that like to drink. I don't drink or drug or do mushrooms or any of that stuff, and that's okay. That's your faith and religion and Native American.
That's the only thing I do is mushrooms.
Now, you said Native American. How do you, in America, do they still, it's not like they have a Native American card like they do for Cherokee, is it? Your Tenayuca clan or what? Why do you call yourself a Native American?
Because I was sponsored by Gordon Rockhill, who's one of the biggest attorneys in San Mateo County, and I was my computer problem solving teacher was a math teacher, Miss Lehman. She went down to Mexico and solved my pyramid. Tenayuca came back and said, John, there's a pyramid of your last name. I said, I know. Well, why did you talk about it? I said, because my dad says, if you talk about religion and politics to people, they'll kill you and crucify you like Jesus Christ. So just don't talk to anybody.
Well, you were born in America, though? You were born in America?
Yeah, of course. I'm a fourth-generation Texan. And my dad, they all thought he was
Texan.
And he said, yeah, Texas. I was born in Texas. My family.
In Austin, Texas. You're kind of related to the Austins?
San Antonio. I was born in San Antonio, Texas. I'm like the third, fourth-generation Texan. We were conquered by.
And you were born in 1960?
No, I'm later than that. I really don't get into. I'm real vain about my birthday.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, in Texas.
Yeah. San Antonio, Texas.
I couldn't get on your LinkedIn, nor could I get on Google. You said you sent me those pictures, but it says NULL. Google has me blocked on your Google account, which I've never seen before from anybody. But it comes into my Gmail, but they won't let me look at the pictures. So that's real confusing. But
yeah, I know.
But you're real security-minded.
Yeah, well, part of it has to do with Google was. I used to be a Google developer because I went to the headquarters and they were going to give me a TV station and cable channel 15 or 13 or whatever. I was really into Google. I bought the first Chromebook that first came out. I was in the first cloud when they created the cloud. I've been in the forefront of most of all computer developments, starting from Stephen Jobs and Seven Jobs and Wozniak. I had the 64K Commodore. If you read my profile, you see my computer background. You can see
I'd like to, but it didn't come through either. So there's something with my Google accounts. You'll have to send them to one of my business accounts. Try I've got UAP. You can send it to me at director UAP Associates or director at UFO Association Organization.com.
All I could say is this: is that if you have an app, an Android or an Apple app, and you go to Lincoln, and you'll see my business profiles there for like 15, 20 years. Since actually Lincoln started, like 15 years.
I did, but it wouldn't come up. I told you that David Tenayuca did, but it was 60 years old with. David Tenayuca is a professor. He's a professor and one of these college professors over in Austin. Yeah, he's a cousin. He's a cousin of mine. And there's a very few Tenayucas though. You'll very rarely. There's 22 Tenayucas that I've kept track and documented in the United States. So we're pretty much last of the Mohicans. And so all the women that became Tenayucas lost their name in the marriage, except for my sister. Made sure she kept her name when she married John Greco / Tenayuca. So she kept her name. So and my grandmother called herself Catherine Marie Tenayuca, and she named her daughter the same thing, Catherine Marie Tenayuca. So it was like a junior. She was like and she was a Mayan Indian, and she was brought up by the Lutherans, the German Lutherans. So she really got into Lutheran and German people. Because she liked the way they worked hard and stuff. So, that's... Well, you and I both network, so I'm going into my LinkedIn. You said go into LinkedIn. Let me see. I'm going to put in John David on LinkedIn.
You get the app, and it's Tenayuca Enterprise. That's good, my holding company. For that one here.
John David...
Yeah, John David Tenayuca, Tenayuca. And I also have the same phone number from that era.
It's YUCA, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
John David Tenayuca?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I wonder why. It says no results found.
That's weird. Okay. Let me look up my business phone and see where
it's got a Corey Good picture here. It says director, executive producer, and content creator for film, streaming, and comic book. Corey Good, David Wilcock.
Yeah.
With Jenny McCarthy on the Jenny McCarthy show, Sirius. She's a pretty girl, stars. So let's see who. Ronnie Dawson in our ACO group. Friday nights he usually does Tonight, but Ronnie is a truck driver in our ACO club. I was supposed to invite him tonight and I forgot. UFO researcher.
Cool.
UFO researcher. But why is it? Why is it your name won't come up in my LinkedIn? Because you and I do. I've got John David Tenayuca. All right, what's the name of your company? Maybe it'll come up under your company.
TENCONX, Tenayuca Enterprises. That's my holding company.
Okay, let me try that. TENCONX, Tenayuca Enterprises.
Yeah, Tenayuca Enterprises. And I'm also out there. I mean, everybody that gets to know me knows me from Lincoln. And I send everybody over there to look up my profile so that you know who I am.
Well, it's nice that you're being, at least you say you're being social, but
I'm a
I can't see you.
I'm a social media expert. I've been doing World Wide Web since they started. I was in AOL. In the chat groups when I was married, I was bored, so then I used to go to
chat groups. Did you block everything? Let's see. Maybe it's like Facebook. John Tenayuca, right? And that's the way I've always spelled it. You do not come up. I've got John Castagnini, John Thompson, John Sharkey, John Ballou, John.
I got to get my business phone all charged up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that, what happens is sometimes people just block, even that. Twitter does that too. I was in Twitter. What Twitter did was they suspended my account because I was being too right wing and stuff, and so they didn't like me doing that, so they blocked me, and then I had to apologize and said I wouldn't do that anymore, and then they let me back on.
Well, a lot of people go too far left, too far right, and they start bullying, and they don't know which side they're on, nor do they care, because the Internet's not supposed to be about really politics or religion or, we have all that stuff in America anyway that we say we don't discriminate. So it's about discrimination, and the bullying has gotten to be a little out of control because it's a political year in USA.
I don't think it was bullying so much. I think it was just what I was saying about the Second Amendment and how I thought that Obama was trying to use gun control as a way of trying to turn us into Venezuela, and then Sanders was trying to set us into socialism, and I just thought, look at what happened to Venezuela. I had a friend that was out here from Venezuela, and he was wanting to create. He was well off, a wealthy person. He came to America to start an app, and a really nice app with Apple and Google and Android. And so what happened was he came here, and then that's when the socialism took over. And then he lost all his property and his wealth. And he went home to a poor country and socialist. He was a wealthy guy. He went home poor, and he was really depressed. And he's never been the same, And he had the money to come out here. And I met him as a friend. He was from Argentina. And so when I saw that example firsthand, how the socialist system ruined Venezuela, which used to be like, Venezuela is like one of the, it's like the European country it's like a European country. I said to myself, if America does that, then we're doomed. If Bernie Sanders wins the presidency, we're doomed. And so, and I don't like to talk politics, but I do stand up for America, and I am Native American, and I do believe I believe in right-wing politics. I don't believe in left-wing politics, but I am liberal-minded and open-minded and stuff. It's like when people meet me and they try to figure out what type of person I am, I'm very old-fashioned and conservative, and that's just the way I am. I don't get into any, it's like I don't believe in channeling anything or anybody because I think that's self demonic possession. So I don't believe in channeling. Okay, I just have certain.
So how do you explain dimensions? Do you just tell people that it's just your other? Because you stay conscious, you don't like to do the channel part, and I don't either. But I do know that there's many parts of us.
Giving up my soul and letting somebody else possess it. I don't believe it. I don't think there's anything good about that. I don't think there's anything good about that. And I don't meditate either. I don't meditate because I'm either on or off. I'm either awake or I'm totally sleepy like hibernation like a bear. I don't get into that, clear my mind and zero out everything, and I just don't do that. I'm either on or off.
You don't deal with the monkey brain? Well, a lot of the faiths teach to calm your monkey brain like the Buddhists and the monks, because your mind wants to talk all the time. So it depends on the voices you're listening to. So some people in defense of the channelers, because I was taught it years and years ago, but even when people were doing it, there's something about it that my inner soul spirit didn't trust. I mean, I learned it. I teach it. I've got it in a book. But, I mean, I can teach it. I understand it. And I was all during that time when people were doing it. But personally, I didn't think I was doing it because I remembered things. But people said when I was doing some readings for, like, television that came over to Hawaii from India, they said I was channeling my higher self. But that could be you just talking. Instead of, like, everyday language, you just go to a higher part of your mind, where you're thinking at a higher, I'm sure you do it, right? You've heard yourself.
Yeah, I know exactly.
But it's not channeling.
But that's the difference. You have to know the fine line between what is channeling and what is God within you. My dad says that God is within you. God is within you. If you're going to go out and look for God, you're chasing after the figment of your imagination. That's how he used to teach me and tell me. So, I had to take him for a fact that what he was saying was true when I was a little kid. And I realized that what he was saying was true because a couple of proteges that I had, I said, your spirit is divine. And once you get in touch with your divineness, that's when you start having God thoughts and you start thinking like God. But you know what? If you don't, then you just stay, like you say, earth monkey state. You're going to be an earth monkey for the real. You know what I mean?
Monkey state, like monkey brain. I heard that on the monks. I like them. I like different people and how they talk.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I'm non-judgmental. I don't believe in judging anybody or anything. If you're gay, you're gay. It doesn't matter to me. But I have my scruples and my integrity, and I have where I draw the line of who I am, and I don't expect anybody to invade or cross. That's why I think that's what I believe. Abductions are an invasion of your personal, physical, spiritual body is wrong, and it's not right in the universal laws of the universe. So to me, any abduction is like a rape, is wrong. So I don't believe in abduction, and I talked to Dr. Jacobs about that, and he feels the same way. Is that what they're doing in this hybridization program is completely, in my book, illegal and against the law, spiritual laws of this universe. So there are some things where I'm just going to point it out, point blank. It's wrong, and then I'm going to say other things when it's right. And when I think I'm right, that's when I feel like I got God in the universe on my side. But when I'm wrong, I will get on my hands and knees and beg for forgiveness because I'm wrong, and I have no power, and I'm powerless and useless and worthless. But I'm wrong. But that's how I feel.
But you as an entrepreneur, we're both business-minded, and we were trained in business. But it's a spiritual type of business, wouldn't you say? That we choose to do love, light, heart, but we're not New Agers. So how do you explain that? So, is it our faith because you have a...
I'll tell you what business is. To me, since I've had some great mentors, to me, business out of all my studies, and I studied business in college, college education, is business is nothing to me. Business is nothing more than 50% psychology and 50% finance. And if you get that figured all out, you know how to crunch numbers, and psychological, personalities and how to influence and win people over like Napoleon Hill book. I think you'll have an easy time. But if you have all these dysfunctional, bipolar, whatever you call, depressed, suicidal, maniacal, homicidal, psychotic behavior in your head, and you're schizophrenic, well, then you're not going to be very stable and having doing a stable business with anybody. And everybody knows who's going to want to trust a psychotic lunatic if they're going to kill you and threatening your life. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's supposed to help yoga meditation for 30 minutes is used a lot in business minds, especially in New York, just to sit and, follow your breath. The basic stuff, but not long dharma, karma stuff. But I guess it's to each his own if it works. How some people say if it resonates with you.
That's right. If it resonates with you. That means if your spirit aligns with it and it's all balanced out, you vibrate with it, and everything's good, you feel good about it, and there's nothing wrong with it. But like when I was 16 years old, I went to this bookstore called East West Bookstore, and it was about the Eastern philosophy and the Western, all these kind of New Age stuff. And I met all these ladies, and I was like 16 years old. I used to hang out and read all these psychic books, and all these ladies in there, they were married ladies from Palo Alto. They invited me to their house, and they were talking meditation stuff. And I said, well, I think I'd like to know how to meditate because I really did. My dad told me meditation sounds good. So when they started meditating with me, they said, yeah, you're going to get into this state. Da, da, da. Well, what happened for me is I just went completely to sleep and started snoring like a bear. They said, that's not meditation. That's not meditation, Mike. They were getting all kind of perturbed with me. So then what they did is they got together in Palo Alto at the Maharaja, the Beatles Maharaja, was coming to the Palo Alto in the stadium, like 6,000 people. And I was going to be introduced to the Maharaja to be taught how to meditate. They figured they were going to give me a personal invitation to the Maharaja. Well, the first thing that happened when everybody got into this meditation, I swear, I'm telling you the truth. So when I got into this stadium, that they paid for me, and I had this entourage of ladies, like all in the 30s and 40s, and I was this 16-year-old little kid, Native American who was like a shaman, But, I kind of shared that part with them. And then so, I'm in this big old auditorium, and everybody's supposed to meditate and do this like Catholic thing where you're supposed to do exactly these moves and these things about everybody's got to bow and whatever. And I'm looking around going, what's everybody so mind controlled and brainwashed doing one thing, And when they saw me looking around, the Maharaja looked at me and then looked at his bodyguards and got me kicked out. I was thrown out the side of the building, and I was out there by myself going, what did I do wrong? And I never got to meet the Maharaja personally. So, that's kind of my experiences, It's either good, bad, or ugly. And I roll with it. And I don't think anything wrong with it. I didn't say anything bad, but I'm just saying that's what happens for me.
Well, what do you think about social networking? I've got these people that always want me to join stuff. I have no clue. They put me in them, and I'm all over the place in social media, and half of the stuff I didn't even put myself in. But I've got this guy that says alien UFO sightings join, and then he sends me stuff on LinkedIn to join his website, and then I'm like, he says, I'd love you to join me in Alien UFO Sightings, a community where we can meet, message, share ideas, and go deeper with our peers on the topics. When you join, you'll be able to contribute your own stories and experiences. I take a minute, look forward to connecting with you, and then gives me all the information to go. And then I said, absolutely, what's your email? Thanks for endorsing me for journalism, because he did all this for me on LinkedIn. He says, I added you on my social media endorsement. I was like, well, I'm thanking him. I said, sure, I'll join your thing, but I didn't. And then he says, why you need my email? I'm like, you just ask me, don't know me from Adam on LinkedIn, but tells me you're in social media about UFO and aliens. I won't mention his name. But then wants me to go to his website and join it and all that. He's the one that contacted me. I don't have any clue who he is. And he doesn't want to send me his email? What? Can you tell me what's going on with people? Because half the people in business and in hobbies, and I'm trying to do a professional business here, but what's going on? People don't think normal. Now, you understand, this is a guy supposedly that knows you and me on LinkedIn, and even though I can't see you, I'm sure you're there somewhere because you tell me you are, but I can't see you. But here's a guy that I don't know, never met, never talked to, not in our ACO club where I endorse.
And you know what I look like. You know exactly.
But you know too that you had to know me a year just because you came on the radio show. I didn't give you a position in our club because it's by invitation only, and we got all these little social media groups. They're free. But that doesn't mean you get to come play in my life and me know you personally or come to my events or meet me or write books with me. So and you took a year. You were sponsored in because that guy Javier sponsored you in for a year. Then you read my articles. And then you read my social, you read my articles and bylaws, and you said you liked them and that you would support me. And now, 5 years later, the universe put us back together and said, well, y'all social network. And then I got all these people that I don't know want me to endorse their businesses and their websites and then go, well, why do you need my email? So I'm asking John Tenayuca that I can't find on LinkedIn that you sent me here to look you up. I can't see you, but some other guy. So what is going on? I can't see you, but this guy wants me to promote his business and his website, and I don't know him. So I say, sure, what's your email? Because he endorsed me. So I figured if he endorsed me on LinkedIn, he must know who I am. He endorsed 2 or 3 things. And then he can't send me his email? Come on. What's that about?
Yeah, well, can I tell you something? I'll tell you what it's about.
What?
Is that everybody has, and I'm going to go back to my Indian story. Everybody has a good wolf inside you, and it has a bad wolf. The bad wolf really hates you and can't stand you and wants to hurt you and, see you suffer and in pain and maybe even commit suicide. But the good wolf loves you, cares about you, and really wants to help you with the light, love, and truth of God, let's say. So the bad wolf wants to take you down in the theory of chaos, but the good wolf wants to take you to the theory of creation. So what happens is you have 2 wolves inside you that you have to determine who are you going to feed, the good wolf or the bad wolf. So whichever wolf you feed is going to dominate your spirit after you feed it. And that's the one that
That's
rules.
the same story my daughter, the one that died, she's even put on our refrigerator. Do you want to feed the good wolf or the bad wolf today? It's so funny. But a lot of those stories in folk life, it's our traditions. But she was very much Native American and looked at right, and part of it in our DNA somewhere came back through.
I take it one step higher. It's about who dominates your spirit, okay? Who dominates the spirit, not the soul, not the personality, not your feelings, your spirit. And when I talk about the spirit in the Native American sense, I'm talking about the life force energy of your being that was either created male or female back in the point of creation. When you were created, and I believe everybody was created in the source of all creation. There was somebody had to, we all came together like in the Big Bang Theory, and that we were created in the male or female spirit. Okay, and I think, and I believe this, and I really believe this is what I've been told, and not in the physical realm, but in the spiritual realm, that we all are either female or male spirits, and that the ones that try to come back and then they've been trapped into the vicious cycle of reincarnation. This is what I believe, is that they're a male spirit stuck in a woman's body, and they're confused, and they don't know what happened. So in other words, the alignment of what was supposed to be right and wrong got confused. So now they don't know if they're LBGT or they're gay or they're what or this or that, and then the boys are dressing like the girls or vice versa and all that. So I believe what happens that causes that confusion is our spirit, which is born either male or female, gets put in the wrong body of the wrong sex, and then that's where all the confusion comes from. That's what I think.
Well, that's one of the philosophies. I've heard it before. But I don't know why people want me to promote them in business and social network with me, but then they turn around and endorse me and say, oh, you're a great person, blah, blah, blah. And then I say, okay, great, what's your email since you want me to join all your stuff? And I guess they're scared they're going to get an email, like a spam.
Well,
I don't know. That doesn't make sense.
Well, I noticed
it's because I'm old-fashioned. I like to know how to, if you're going to get in touch with me on a website, social media has got people so confused. They all think because that's all data mining for all the multi-billionaires that are going to be using it around the world for face recognition on our avatars, which really they already own all of us in the cyberspace community, but that's another show. We've reached the end, John, and you're really good for information and sharing, and I know that your heart's in the right place, and I know that you're a good professional, and you're also, helping me with the hobby people, but maybe in the future, if you'll think about it, help me decide. Like I just said, I can't see you on LinkedIn, but help me on some of this social media because everybody does it free anyway, and everybody's doing their own YouTube and putting in the content that's owned by GoDaddy and Google and Amazon and YouTube. Well, also the dark web underneath all the software. But anyway, folks, we'll come back and do the future.
Yeah.
Well, we can talk about stuff and not be too negative, but just to know about it. You can be aware and have wisdom. And a lot of these topics, they're not really dark, but let's stay connected somehow and help each other. And maybe we can do some live video once. We're the old guys, but if you're comfortable being video too, right? I'm not. Yeah. I've got stuff out there for books and people. But help me with these people because discernment. You and I have at least.
TJ, because TJ, you've been really good to me when I needed a friend. So you know what? You were there when I needed a friend, and I always forget that.
You make me laugh.
And then we have our moments. But you know what? You've always been there. And then I think we resolved a lot of issues now. And I think you, like you said, you're old-fashioned. Well, I am too. I'm really old-fashioned myself. And so when people dishonor and disrespect me. When they meet me and they don't honor and respect me, then I think that's not going to work. And let me just say one more thing.
All right.
Is that in 5 minutes when I meet somebody in 5 minutes, I have this cosmic order of determining if that person in 5 minutes is going to be my best friend for the rest of my life or going to be my mortal enemy, and I better watch out because they're evil. They're going to try to take me down. I am 5 minutes I can determine that. Everybody I meet in 5 minutes, and people at 35 rooms, or 300 people, or 350 people, in 5 minutes I know who's my enemy and who's my best friend. And you've always been my best friend. Okay?
Well, we haven't made a penny together, folks, but we're still considered professionals. But if you want to join our hobby club, our professional club, it's ACO Club Directory, and John and I have some kind of symbiotic or friend, best friends, or social media friends. It's ACO Club Directory. It's on acoclub.app instead of .com. I bought this for $75 or something with a secure socket. And these days, to play on the internet, you really need a SSL. And this is stuff you can learn. But
that's exactly
John and I help you. John, help me because I can't even see you. So I think either Google's got me blocked. I need to go on Firefox.
I'm here to help you, baby love. Okay. Nice.
Well, I'm a web developer for Google.
Don't get
I have the developer's levels.
And you know what? I'm a gentleman, and if you're a lady and you treat me like a gentleman and like a man and act like a lady, I will bend over backwards to do whatever I can to help you as a lady. Right? I swear.
Okay.
I would do anything I can to help you.
All right. I made you a page on the acoclub.app, but I've got acirradio.com I'm going to be promoting for the Allied Command, but I don't know if it has to be just veterans. But I need some of the ACO people that have been with me for years. I've told them to go to Patreon, and they'll get one vote for $1 a month if they want to help me build who is going to be professional versus hobby, because these people they're endorsing me, or they're saying they're my friends because they know me in social media or on Facebook or LinkedIn or Pinterest, but I don't know who they are. And then, so I'm going to set up a directory, and let's know who these people are. Let's know what their skills and talents, and at least you and I have worked together in broadcasting or internet for how many years, and on this radio show. So at least you and I know each other, what we look like. We've seen each other on Skype. I didn't go to that event you went to, but my husband was sick, and then my daughter was sick. So Lorian got mad at me, but I couldn't support her.
I know, and I felt bad about that, and I really feel sorry that,
Well, that's okay. You helped Lorian out, and you helped Brett Luter, and I love Brett, and I love Lorian as far as spirit, but I don't do business with them, and I apologize. People got mad at me.
Who's Lorian?
I couldn't help them.
Who's Lorian?
Lorian Fenton. She did that thing with you. She's one of your partners.
No, she's a crook. She's a criminal. That Lorian Fenton. I didn't help her.
Oh, let's don't say that.
Well, that's true.
Okay,
That's the truth. I have to say the truth. She is not my friend. She is my enemy, and I have nothing to do with her. Lori Fenton is on my shit list for life, so don't ever mention her as my friend. That's an insult.
Okay, well, she's not in my club. Okay, so
well, she's not in mine either. She never will be.
Okay.
She
All right. Well, those are.
I have nothing to do with her. So this keep
wow.
her out of my sight.
You and Bob Brown. Bob Brown says the person that Bob Brown's also he's been in the business for years and years with us. So, but you guys, I don't know what happened or what she did, but apparently in business you guys are really down on her. But
she never paid me back, and she did the same thing to Brett Luter, and I went to court for help to beat her. And you know what? She's a crook and a thief, and I have nothing to do with her. Don't ever mention her that I want to help her as a friend, because then you're mistaken.
Okay, well she doesn't have anything to do with me. She came on my radio show years ago before she was anybody or even had anything going, and I asked Janet to bring her on because she was going to do an event.
Well,
so she brought her on my show.
She's a nobody, and I want nothing to do with her. As long as you understand those principles and rules that I live by, then we'll have no problems. But if I have to talk to her, if I ever see her again, she's going to get a piece of my mind the same way she got it last time.
No, she works with Tina. She works with Tina Marie Quit in Las Vegas. Laughlin, Las Vegas.
People that I want nothing to do with, and I'll be best friends with anybody who's good to me and honor respects me. But somebody who rips me out like a thief, like she did, Lori Fenton, I want nothing to do with her as long as I live on this earth.
No, Lorian came on my show before she ever went on Revolution. She was real scared. It's all in history here. I never erased it. So people, if y'all want to hear different people in events, go back to 2012, all our archives.
People like that, like Javier. Now that person is doomed. I mean, you know what? I've never want anything to do with him, and he was my friend for 40 years, and he fleshed out a friendship made out of gold. down the toilet for money.
Yeah, you got money and business involved in those events is what happened, right? You and him got an event.
Yeah, but you know what?
Y'all were fine until you started making money together.
Well, no, we didn't make
right?
money. I got ripped off and swindled. No, I got swindled because everybody said, well, why do you have so many problems, John? I said, because I try to trust people. And when they try to screw me, that's the worst thing they could do because I don't let it go. I'll do everything in my power to get back at them because I'm not.
Well, you're clear, right? You don't have a record, right? We don't.
No,
I don't smoke, drink, or drug, and I don't have a record.
I don't have a record for that reason. I keep it that way because I don't want to hang around people.
Yeah, me too.
But let me just say that all I can say is that I do not want to ever have to put up with people that are negative. Let me just put it this way: the secret to my success of happiness and my philosophy of why I'm always positive is because I don't associate with negative, toxic, destructive people. I disassociate from them and I turn my back and I walk. And I feel that if I turn back to look at them, I'll turn into a pillar of salt. So it's my fault to ever look back at people that are not on my side, that are going to out to hurt me. Why would I associate with people like that? And those are the ones I want to stay away from.
Well, you tried.
Loud and clear. But I tried.
You tried with them, and that was events. Those were in California, but we're not going to do an event in their territory, I don't think. So if we do an event, it'll be here, Florida.
I've also had my experience in Sedona. Everybody tried to be, the light of truth and the light of day and the love and all this, and they turned out to be just
stab you in the back.
Yeah, there's the good and the bad and the ugly. And the good are the ones that I want to keep friends with and associate with, like you're good. But the bad and the ugly, I want nothing to do with. I walk away and never come back.
We've had differences of opinion, and somehow we got back together. But
we didn't go to try to kill each other, or hurt each other, or screw each other, or steal from each other. We just had
let's don't do the Sue thing.
There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, that builds character, it makes a better friendship, and everything else as I said. But when you have a friend like Javi, who was my friend for 40 years, I knew his family, he knew my family, he moved in with my dad for 5 years like a freeloader. And they became like father and son because they were so much like each other, which I thought was great because it made my dad happy. But then he turned around and he flushed a friendship made out of gold down the toilet after 40 years. That's very disappointing.
Wow.
And very upsetting. And that's why Javi is on my shit list, also like Lori Fett is, for life. And I don't ever want to talk about them or have anything association with them. So when you mentioned...
They don't stay in contact with me. Isn't that odd?
I want to make it loud and
I mean,
clear.
how can they come on and forget about me?
I want nothing
they just
to do with
did. All right. Well, you stayed in contact. You've always been nice professionally. You always said, TJ, I always keep up with you. I watch what you do. You're persistent. You're consistent.
Exactly.
So you've always uplifted me.
Yeah. Sure. And because you've never been, across me or double-cross me or tried to hurt me or screw me or said something bad. I have these agreements sometimes when I get into business confidential agreements. And the part of the agreement is you're not supposed to say anything bad or lie about me behind my back and always toot my horn.
Well, that's just business.
Yeah, but
that's just business, isn't it? Good business policy. If you're going to be affiliate or reseller, associate.
No, but it's good business. It's good business that you make
colleagues.
A point of making that as a declaration that I'm here trying to help you, say good things about you. Do the same for me. And if you don't do that, then you're double-crossing me and you become an enemy. And that's it. And that's what I like in this conversation.
Well, public relations is, but if we're friends, that's why I'm careful of who I put in my business. I have to know them, friends, and even with you, I knew you for a year before we even talked about you doing the ACO and being a director in California, but you helped me and Barbara Jean Lindsay. Now, Lori and Fenton and Barbara Jean Lindsay still work together on Revolution Radio.
I love Barbara Jean Lindsay.
I think they're at the conference right now in California because now Bob's is 15th through the 22nd, and then Lori and Fenton has one, I think, the 25th. But
I don't care.
I still promote events.
You know what? Do not bring Lori Fenton up in my company and my space. That's all I'm not asking you to do. I don't want to even hear that she exists anymore. That's how much I
okay, well, we'll do that. We'll do that because she's not in my group.
All I'm doing is saying, TJ, is you thrown her in my face, and I said, please, I don't even want to mention her because after what I've said about her, why would you want to bring her up again in my face? It's disrespectful.
The events.
Don't do it. I don't care.
All right. Well, help me in the future decide. All right. Well, help me in the future on events at least. So
I don't even want to talk about it because all I want to do is.
Yeah, we're not going to do any business association. How's that? And that way it keeps it out of radio and business, all that, because all of us are in the same radio business.
If they makes me happy, listen. If it makes me happy, I'm happy. But I'm not going to be, putting up with people that have burned me and saying nice things about them when they say the worst things about me behind my back that I've ever heard anybody talk about. Lori Fenton is not anybody that I want to know or hear about ever again. So if you want to be my friend even, just keep her out of the conversation and we're good, okay?
Okay, we can do that. That's not a problem.
I'm not going to even be friends because I can't.
It's like a divorced woman. It's an ex.
Name makes me mad.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, I love you and what you're doing to help people, but your main thing is your social networking, friends that we can count on, endorse, be colleagues.
When I tell you something about don't put her in the conversation, I mean it. And if you want to have this good relationship, respect it. But don't throw her in my face like it's something I've got to hear about or want to talk about, because all I'm going to do is get upset and talk about what she did to me, and then I'm going to be upset. So that's what I'm saying.
No, those were just those are events that we've been involved in the past.
I'm just saying that if you want to honor and respect me and not get upset or pushed out of shape, don't bring her name up again, please. I'm asking you out of respect.
Yeah, are the J one either, right? Are the J one either? The J one, Javi or Javi? Yeah, neither one of them are in my club. I'm not endorsing them. I'm not promoting them.
Do me a favor and don't bring them up, because when I do bring them up, all I'm going to talk about is what they did to me and how negative it was, okay? And I'm not going to be happy about it because I'm trying to erase them from my memory, from my life. Brett is I love Brett, okay? He has nothing to do.
Brett's
I went to court and help him win court against Lori Fenton, and I was so happy that I did that. But I'm just saying, Lori Fenton is taboo. Don't talk about her in my fucking presence, and I'll be really cool about it, because if you bring
I understand. There's a lot of people dividing up in radio and UFO business.
Because you're not respecting me and what I'm asking. Don't mention her anymore in front of to my face, okay? And I'll be happy.
I understand. Okay, I'm fine. No problem. I don't do any business with them. I did because we were all on the same radio station, but I left Revolution. I left it. I'm no longer with them.
Okay, we're done with that. We don't have to talk about them anymore.
Right, we don't have to talk about that anymore.
We're going to have we had a good radio show. I'm happy that I came here to talk to you and share with you.
Aw, thank you. I'm so glad you
did.
did.
Keep it recording, and I'll always be here for you as a friend, but don't bring up my enemies, please. All you're going to do is piss me off.
Okay, I understand now. Yeah, even in radio. I understand.
We got it. We can keep associated and collaborating.
Okay. Well, we'll do our club events and club radio shows, and even maybe some StreamYard or YouTube videos or Vimeo or whatever you want to do, and to help our friends who we like and who we endorse or who's in our club, okay? Okay, I guess he left. All right, love and light, everybody. We're going to get out of here, and he said keep the recording. So this is here for our archives, and I guess this is how we're going to start 2020. And one of the reasons we've had a lot of people that in our hobbies or in our professions or business, especially in events, differences of opinion or even differences over how the money was spent in our association. So, that's what all that's about. And people, you just have to learn. So we're professionals, and, if you want to do hobbies and be in our social networks, we have all the free ones. They call it open source. That's being data mined and collected on you because you're putting it out there, like Pinterest, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook Live, YouTube, we said that, Vimeo, all the software development companies, and that's fine because we're all getting to know each other. But all we're saying is a lot of us will maybe look like we're friends, but we're not. Even though you may see us, not everybody has time to go delete the thousands of people that we did since the inception of Facebook. And the kids hardly will even get on Facebook anymore. There's all these new ones, Snapchat and Instagram, but new TikTok, and they mostly put up their own life and their photos and their gaming and live streaming their games and all that. So I'm here to help people. I have the radio club. I have a radio training club if you're interested. If you want to go to acoclub.app and join our club, and then you can get in touch with me if you just want to be a supporter or enthusiast or help us or get to know us on Patreon for patrons, patreon.com. And then it's got my name / Teresa J. Morris, THERESA JMORRIS. And we'll be happy to, if you'll go to that, it'll give you sort of an idea of different projects that I'm working on with various people in different groups and clubs. And I do my best to put them on projects, the ones and the teams that want to work together for marketing, advertising, and public relations, endorsements, signing up, and then we do levels, tier 1, 2, and 3, and then I've got different projects that not everybody wants to work on, okay? So we're working on various broadcasting, live streaming channels, people that have websites that they want to promote on their YouTube and their way they do it, and I've been helping people for years and years and years, and got started back in BMI, Broadcast Music Incorporated, in New York and Nashville, and paid my dues and paid all my musicians when I was writing music and helping people. We were doing television shows and different channels and music and live stream and history and Ace Folk Life, Smithsonian, and bluegrass music, country music, gospel music, in the ministry. So my Teresa J. Morris Ministries now is just love one another, and can't we just get along? I like that because I was watching all the fires over in Los Angeles when I gave up my 5-year contract, paying lots of thousands of dollars for business in California. And then I had for thousands for 3 to 5 years in Atlanta. And so I've been in business in Hawaii, California. Wait, was that California? Yeah, California. That was expensive. And let's see, Hawaii, California, Texas, and Georgia. So let's see, it was, in Kentucky. And I didn't own my own company in Illinois, but I had my business license as a private investigator through the Birmingham. Oh, yeah, when I was in Kentucky, we tried to help the state police and all them training law enforcement and stuff, and help set up back then first, they didn't have a private investigator license. But anyway, I'm really old, so now we just help people get started in broadcasting. And if you'd like to be involved, it's American Communications Online Broadcasting Company. And my headquarters is in my head in Gulf Breeze, Florida. And I'm using some websites to get the word out, so to speak. So if you want to help us, radio helps for public relations and just letting people know who you're working with. And we'll do what we can, and John and I, we work inside computers and developing and trusting each other, and for whatever reasons, our computers aren't talking to each other, but, you know, there are people that put that stuff inside the computers that you get to see on your cell phones, but most people don't care. They just want to use their phones and their memes, their apps, and they don't care what's being put in there, but it changes all the time, even in Wikipedia. All right, well, love and light, everybody, and if I'm supposed to know you, get in our ACO Association or UFO Association and get to know people in it. Find us on social media free, Facebook, and I guess if you ever find me and get in touch with me for a year, go read articles and bylaws on acoclub.app. All right, well, John, thank you so much. It was a great show, and look forward to networking with you and reaching out to other people if they want to, or they can reach out to us. And we have by invitation only, especially Friday nights. So love and light, everybody. And I've got a lot of people that said they're going to be on the show. I've just got to get back to them. It's a lot of work. And I never got John's pictures. I got his pyramid, but I didn't get his headshot. So just stay in touch, and I'll help everybody any way I can on Patreon or ACOclub.app. And this is TeresaJMorris.com signing off. Okay, so, gosh, you'd think I never did music before. Is anything coming through? All right. Well, I guess we won't have any music to get off. That's weird. Spend some time in human form. Good night.